Hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. We're talking about something scary today. Yes, credit scores are scary until you find out how easy it is to increase your credit score. That is the number one reason why clients don't like to at least submit an application or even start the process, because they're terrified of the embarrassment of having a bad credit score. I'm going to go ahead and put my stuff out there. When I purchased my first home, my credit score was under 600. It was like 550. And we started the process knowing that my credit score was at 550. It was like 550, 560. Shit happens. I was 18. I let stuff go to collections. Payments were late. And I just didn't work on my credit. I didn't think I needed it. My car was paid off. I was in the process of buying a home. So I just left it as is. There was a bunch of stuff in collections. And unfortunately, when it was time to purchase our house, I was able to increase it over 640. And I'll let you guys know how I did that and why you guys shouldn't be so afraid about credit scores being low. Because this happens all the time with clients where they have a lower credit score than what they had originally anticipated. Now, you only need a 580 to buy a house. But in order to take advantage of some of these great down payment programs, lenders will require a 640. There's a ton of free stuff out there now that wasn't there 4 or 5 years ago when we purchased our first house. I know a lot of credit card companies will offer that as a service on their credit platform. And then obviously my FICO, that's also huge. So there's a lot more tools now than there was available before. You can even run your own credit simulators on certain credit card companies. I know I have Capital One, and Capital One has a great service where it allows you to run credit simulators to let you know if you did this and that, what your credit score would be. So anyway, so we're in the process of purchasing our home. Nilza had great credit. I mean, she's always had great credit. So obviously I was the weak link, and that's usually how it is. A husband and wife, or a couple, there's always one person that has a lower credit score. Lenders will take the lowest credit score out of the two. Doesn't matter. They don't take the average. That's a misconception. So she had great credit. I didn't. What did we do? Well, luckily it didn't take that much money. We had all my credit cards were maxed out. And that was the benefit that I had, is I had credit to pay down. It gets a little bit difficult when you don't have any credit. That's when you need to open up trade lines and wait months and months to get your credit score up, usually about 6 months. However, if you have credit to pay down, your credit score can jump overnight. And that's exactly what we did. So the lender that I worked with then and the lenders that I work with now have the availability, the way to do what's called a rapid rescore. So let's say you put in an application and your credit score is like a 580, right? And we want to get to that 640 mark, and you have a couple maxed out credit cards, which is fine. Like I said, people do it all the time. If you have the funds and the resources available, it makes more sense to pay down that debt and increase your credit score to a 640, because it might take like $1,000, $500, whatever that dollar amount is. It makes more sense to increase your credit score to take advantage of these programs versus saving up $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 for a down payment. And that's a big thing that a lot of people don't understand. They'll sit there and they'll save and they'll save and they'll save for a down payment. And when they're ready to buy a house, they have the down payment, but even their score is still not good enough, right? So that's what I did. That's what we did. We paid down some of my credit cards, and then I was able to jump my credit score like literally overnight. It took 3 to 5 business days, to get my score back. And I paid some cards down. I think there was like one item in collections that I had to reduce to a certain amount. It wasn't anything crazy, but it happened so fast. And I just didn't realize that the process was that fast. Obviously now as a real estate agent, I know how the process works. You pay a credit card down, you can get your credit score rescored within 3 to 5 business days, sometimes less, and your score will jump up like that. Super easy to do. So that's why I always recommend to clients, put in an application now, so that way we have an idea of where you're at, so we can get a general idea of where your score is at, so we can tell you. And the lenders that I work with will give you, they work directly with FICO. They're certified through FICO. So they'll tell you exactly what you need to do to increase your credit score. A big misconception, a big thing that people do too, is they pay down too much, right? So they'll use all their money, pay down credit cards, where in reality, you didn't have to pay that off. There's a sweet spot. So the lender, the credit specialist will tell you, pay down this credit card to this amount, this credit card to this amount. And when you do that, your score will be this amount. And 9 out of 10 times they hit it right on the money, and it's very accurate, and we're able to start shopping for a home within the next month or so. So if you have a bad score, if you see your Credit Karma, if you see your whatever credit card app you use and it shows a low score, don't be discouraged to submit an application because of that. You can jump your score overnight by paying down some debt. Very easy to do. So that's obviously the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is you just don't have any credit. You don't have any debt to pay down, right? Maybe you had some credit cards back when you were younger. You go to collections and you just never took out new debt. That's the process where it does take a couple months. But once again, it's crucial to get the process started early so that way you know exactly what to do. Most of the time what that entails is you can do two things. And this is another quick fix, and I'll tell you guys what that is. But you can either just open up secured trade lines. That's where you go to a bank and you open up a credit card with your money. So let's say you have $500. You literally give the bank $500 and you're borrowing your own money, but it reports as a trade line. That helps start building your credit. And that takes some time. It takes about 6 months to get that in the works, but it definitely beats waiting a whole nother year. The other way you can do that is adding yourself to somebody that has good credit and good payment history and low utilization on their credit card, is if you add yourself as an authorized user. Now that's not 100% guaranteed to work. That's sometimes subject to the underwriter. Sometimes they might look at that and say, hey, you know what, we don't like it. So that one isn't as secure as the other two options that I just talked about. But there's still, it still works. I'd say for me, it's worked 80% of the time. There was only probably one time in the last 2 years that an underwriter said, hey, you know what, that won't work. They can't be an authorized user on this particular account or whatever. Anyways, so there's a ton of ways to increase your credit score rapidly. And if not, there's ways to increase it within 6 months. So if you have a bad score, if you have a lower score, don't be hesitant. Submit the application now so that way you know what to do, so that when the time comes, when your lease is up or whenever you get pissed off at your roommates, you're ready to start the process and purchase a home. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you guys take that information and run with it. If you guys have any questions, give me a call, send me a message. If you guys know anybody that's in the process of buying or selling, have them reach out to me. You guys take care and have a great day.